Swami Agnivesh was a monk who roamed the villages along the river Ganges with his small group of followers. They went from village to village collecting alms. During the day they would collect the offerings, and at night either enjoy the hospitality of a kind and generous host or take shelter under a tree. One evening, Swami Agnivesh was sitting under a banyan tree addressing a group of faithfuls. He was a good speaker and had the ability to hold his audience spellbound for hours together. He was giving a discourse on the Gita and its relevance to the common man. After the discourse, everyone left, discussing among themselves the sage's words of wisdom. Only one man stayed back. He was Birju, a petty thief. He had wandered in on seeing the crowd and sat down. He had been hopeful of getting a chance to pick a pocket or two. In the beginning his attention kept wandering as he searched for prosperous-looking faces. Gradually he was drawn to what the Swamiji was saying. The Swamiji was speaking in a simple language which even an illiterate boor like him could understand. As he listened carefully, he found himself getting completely absorbed in Swamiji's words. After everyone had left, Birju approached Swamiji with folded hands and a lot of hesitation. "Swamiji, I, Birju, a petty thief." "Birju, you have come to the wrong person. I have nothing to offer you but my wisdom." "Steal that," Swamiji said, smiling benevolently, as his followers laughed. "Swamiji, your words have made a great impact on me. Suddenly my entire life flashed before my eyes and I realized I have completely wasted it. I have decided to change. I want to lead an honest life. I want to repent." "That is very good. It is never too late to realize one's mistakes," Swamiji said, looking at his disciples who nodded in agreement. "Swamiji, I want to become your disciple. I want to be with you wherever you go." "My dear Birju, I do not think you realize how tough an ascetic's life is. It may look easy but it requires a lot of dedication and determination. Please, Swamiji, give me a chance. If you don't accept me, I will have no choice but to go back to my old ways or end my life." Swamiji closed his eyes in deep concentration and then said, "Okay, Birju, from today you are one of my disciples. But you have to be careful. Any sign of misbehavior and I will throw you out." Birju nodded humbly, then bending down, prostrated before the sage. The next day onwards, Birju was a member of Swamiji's band of followers. He shaved his head, wore saffron clothes and lived the life of a wandering monk. Swamiji was very happy with Birju, who was now called Birjanand. Wherever Swamiji gave a discourse he would give the example of Birju. "On listening to my words of wisdom, even a criminal has become a sannyasi," he would declare proudly. One night, Swamiji and his followers reached the outskirts of the village of Loban and camped under a peepal tree. It was cold. "Can someone go to the village and get some firewood so that we can keep ourselves warm?" Swamiji asked. Birju volunteered and set off quickly to fulfill his master's command. It was pitch dark. All windows and doors were shut. Birju went from door to door hoping to see a light or movement somewhere. It was all quiet, everyone seemed to be asleep. Birju did not want to disturb the villagers in the dead of night. He was wondering what to do, when he heard a familiar sound. He looked around. It seemed to be coming from a small hut in one corner of the village. It was as if someone was frying something. He walked quickly towards the hut. It had a small window. Birju stood on his toes and peeped in. A young woman, clad in a tattered sari, was sitting on her haunches in front of the fireplace. A frying pan was on the fire. Two children, a girl aged 5 and a boy aged 4, were huddled in a corner. They were thin with their bones sticking out of their torn clothes. As Birju watched, he found the mother doing something strange. Every few seconds she would take a few drops of water and sprinkle on the pan. She also kept mumbling to her children. Birju could not make out what she was saying. As Birju watched, she kept repeating the same thing. Curiosity overtook Birju. Standing at the door he said, "Devi, I am Birjanand, a disciple of Swami Agnivesh Maharaj." The young woman was surprised to see a person in saffron clothes. She stood lip and walking towards Birju touched his feet. Maharaj, I am indeed fortunate to have your blessed feet enter my humble abode. However, I am equally unfortunate because I have nothing to give you. Devi, I have been observing you for the last few minutes. All you have been doing is sprinkling water on the pan. Why have you been doing that? Swamiji, there is not a grain of rice in the house. My children have been screaming the whole evening for food. By sprinkling water on the pan, I was giving them the impression that food was being cooked. The sound of water on the pan kept them under the illusion that something was being fried. Poor wretches, they are too innocent to differentiate between reality and illusion. See, with the hope that food is getting ready, they have gone to sleep. Burju looked at the two kids huddled together like pups. Tears welled up in Burju's eyes. Without uttering a word, he walked out of the hut. He searched the lanes of the village and finally found what he was looking for, a grocery store. He worked on the huge lock on the front door and within minutes, had succeeded in opening it. It seems I have not forgotten my skills, he muttered and went in. He emerged 10 minutes later, carrying 2 sacks. He went into the hut and placed the sacks at the woman's feet. Devi, these provisions should last you for 3 months at least, he said and walked out before the women could ask any questions. When he returned, he found Swami Agnive still waiting for him. What happened? What took you so long? Where is the firewood? Burju narrated the entire story. What? I cannot believe it. Swamiji jumped up, his face turning red. You committed a theft. Swami Agnish's follower is a thief. What will people say? But, Swamiji, the poor children. Stop talking nonsense. You cannot justify your action by making lame excuses. A sin is a sin. The end cannot justify the means. This is your last day with me. Tomorrow morning I want you to go away. I do not ever want to see your sinful face again. The next morning, when Burju opened his eyes, there was a dazzling light in the sky. He looked around. Swamiji and his followers were getting up, rubbing their eyes. A huge bird-like creature was descending from the sky. It is a pushpak fireman, someone shouted. Yes, you are right. I think Lord Indra has sent his messenger to take me to heaven, Swami Agnive said. His followers prostrated before him and he raised his hand in benediction. Today my moment of nirvana has come. Finally I will be freed from the endless cycle of birth and death. I will be attaining salvation. My entire life, I have never deviated from the path of Dharma. I have lived like a monk and never committed a single sin. And this is a reward for all my noble deeds. A young man clad in fine clothes got down from the Vaiman. Swamiji stepped forward. I am Brahmadutt. I have been sent by Lord Indra, he said. I know. I was just telling my disciples the same thing. I am ready to go with you. I have not come to take you, Brahmadutt said, looking around. Not come to take me? Swamiji stuttered, quite sure he had not heard right. No, I have come to take him, Brahmadutt said, pointing at Burju who was standing in one corner. Burju, Swamiji could not believe his eyes, that thief. Yes, his kind act last night surpassed all the virtuous deeds of yours. If the end is noble then the means are not all that important. Lord Rama killed Bali by treacherous means. Lord Krishna resorted to deceit quite a few times in the Mahabharata, because he knew the end was right. Even though Burju's means were improper, his end was virtuous. Swamiji stood speechless as Burju followed Brahmadutt into the pushpak fireman.